opossums. Oh my God, it's all going on and it's all going off, isn't it? But we can't even start this video without talking about the judge being arrested in her own courtroom. It's full-blown authoritarian stuff, is it not? It is scandalous in the extreme. So we've just got to hope with all the focus on Harvard, given that so many heavyweight lawyers in the United States have been through the Harvard system, let's hope some really tough legal stuff is thrown at this issue. Oh, shocking. And Kash Patel, FBI, who was behind it, of course, wetting his pants with excitement, probably shared a bottle of something with Hegseth, tweeted, giggling about this, and then had to delete the tweet. They are such children in the worst possible way. Scabrous people, vile, selfish, scabrous people. Okay, now speaking of such people, we have the evolving scandal of Ron DeSantis and his lovely wife, Casey, always out, charity queen. Yeah, like we believe that, Casey. So, of course, we were not surprised to find out $10 million went missing via her charity. So apparently it was a campaign donation. He sent it to her charity, Hope, Florida, and then it was squirreled away to try and repress changes in the marijuana laws. So, given that George Santos has just been handed down 7 years for campaign violations and fraud, hello, the same thing, duh. Let's have a look. Will anything happen to the DeSantises? Uh, you know, they're shameless. Shameless. We'll get to the shame file a bit later. Okay. Ron and Casey, come on down. Oh, cards are upside down. That's him. Oh, the cards are mixed. I never get reversals. How fascinating. How absolutely fascinating. Oh my God. Often I'll start a read and all the pack will be the other way around. That's one thing. But regular intrepid viewers will know how rare is a reversal. So the Emperor on the Stone Throne, they'll just try and tough it out. Is there any will to actually follow up Republicans on any point of law? No. However, Florida is in a state of flux and is changing. So I am just hoping here, there might be a little whisper of something. Stinky fish. The stinky fish indicating this is not good news for the DeSantis campaign. The fool, the leap of faith, generally speaking, inverted, meaning he's run out of fresh ideas, fresh start. Oh, we'll just let him in. He's sort of got away with all this behavior, but I think people are getting a bit sick of it. But look at this. I think there's going to be more scandals. Oh, can you imagine? Now, I know you're all shocked. Try and deal with it. Boom, boom, boom. So, in other words, I would sum that up by saying they'll just squeak through this. It's only 10 million. Like these sums of money that these people deal with. So 10 million is nothing, they'll play it down, but there's more scandals. Oh, goody. Okay, now Let's have a little look here. That was some two. Oh, yes. What's his name? Oh, I blanked for a minute. Musk. I'm just checking my other cards here that there's no other weirdness going on. Now, as if Tesla needed another scandal, but yes, they had tinkered with the odometers to make your mileage 117% more than it is. Why? Why would a car company do that? Yes, you guessed it, to void your warranty sooner. And this is part of it. It's like, I digress. I digress. It's like the corporate price gouging that's going on now. This is how these people think, right? That's Musk and Autoland, but this is how the big retail outlets think. While the small outlets are struggling to survive and on tiny little margins, the ones who make corporate fortunes are going, people have heard prices are going up. I think I'll just put ours up now. So blatant price gouging. Biden, of course, tried to do something about that. So that was revoked instantly as soon as the Yeti got into power. So now this corporate price gouging, which could be broadly described as greedflation. Yeah, that's what's going on, this greedflation. So let's have a look at that. Is it going to be, has it happened? Let me know. Is it happening? And let's have a look. Will people start to complain? Now, another digression, viewers, and I think this is really interesting. I like following the guys with deep Southern and Appalachian accents. You know, that includes Trey Crowder, the liberal redneck, Texas Paul, Beau of the Fifth Column, and Tennessee Brando, because these guys live in the MAGA heartland and their voices are really important. And Tennessee Brando was saying something interesting yesterday, which was when Biden was in, the whole community, every day of the week, were moaning about the price of everything. Oh, gas is up, this is up, groceries are up. No, no, no. Since the Yeti got in and everything has been going up much faster, not talking, they're not mentioning their kitchen table economy. That'll only last so long. So I think that's embedded in this question too. Will there be a reaction to the price gouging? Will there be a reaction? Let's have a look. Oh, wow, I didn't expect this. 3 out of 4 are major cards, meaning it's a bigger issue than I thought, right? In that sense. So, it kicks off with the tower. This is actually going to push people or push their buttons in a big way. We could see, I've got to be careful on YouTube, but we could see some physical retaliation to stores, let's put it that way. Now, the law will not be used, as we know, to prevent this. However, the law will probably be used against those who may break a shop window or something like that. But the law will be involved in this. Or citizens, there could be, I'm just thinking, I'm liking this, it could be like a mini class action, or maybe not so mini, about the practice. In other words, if you talk about these things, particularly in red states, you know, people's eyes glaze over and, you know, they're coming to take our guns and they can't focus. Maybe this will focus them a lot because this is going to have an impact in red states. This is my fake happy families. And the judgment card. I love that about doing this work. You sort of, I have these huge topics I want to talk about, and then other things that I don't think are as important, and they turn out to be the big ones. I love being surprised. Okay, so, well, speaking of suing, Harvard is suing the Yeti regime over their appalling behaviour of withholding federal funds, etc. Now, let's take a minute to talk about federal funds, shall we? Okay. Now, Gavin Newsom, let me tell you, Gavin Newsom comes across very well on the world stage, right? So, notwithstanding the huge homelessness that is rife in San Francisco, LA, and other cities and stuff, just putting that aside, as a speaker, and governors, we in the rest of the world understand governors are relatively powerful players. So, we tend to listen. He made a very clear case about California because a big financial world body, maybe the IMF, World Bank, someone big, officially announced that the Californian economy was now fourth in the world on its own. Just carve out California. That's no mean feat. That's massively significant. And he came on, he used that really well, as the Dems so seldom do. And he said, yes, we have this dynamic economy, but also we are a donor state. So California actually contributed 81% more to the federal coffers than they got back in federal funding. And then he cleverly cited Texas, Lone Star State, we do it our way, state. And I know how they think because I come from the Texas of Australia. I come from the deep north. And that's how they think. We'll just, secede from the rest of Australia. We're the ones. Yeah. No, they in fact took 71% more in federal funding than they contributed. I want to see these really blatant figures out there, Dems. Okay, so now speaking of big deals, it's been, now I know none of us can bear looking at the Yeti or hearing the Yeti. So most of us, certainly me, but I'm sure most of you, you only see what he's actually saying in little edited clips on other podcasts and stuff. But the one doing the rounds in the last 2 days was, the orangutan on Adderall going, oh, we're doing so many deals, so many deals. We're getting phone calls from all over the world. How many countries, Larry, meaning Larry Kudlow? Oh, 190 or some ridiculous figure. Ridiculous figure. It's such bullshit. Does he actually think we're as stupid as MAGA? Really? Truly. So, meanwhile, he announced the trade negotiations with China were going on, and China just fired back and said, we are not even in conversations, let alone negotiations, and there are no deals being discussed. Let's just be crystal clear about that. So the reality is no deals. Remember, he said 90 deals in 90 days. Now it's 190 countries. And an Australian economist pointed out the obvious in the sense he said, look, the problem is the US is now engaged in 192 trade wars. Everywhere else is engaged in one. the EU are in one trade war. Australia is in one trade war. Even China is in one trade war. And the US is fighting 192. So who's going to win that? You know, they are so beyond stupid as to take your breath away. Okay, what I want to have a quick look at here is, yes, UK. Now, the UK has a weird system. Canada, Australia, others, we took the Westminster system as part of being colonialised by the British Empire. We think we've sort of picked the eyes out of it. And we're not quite so hierarchical, although we have, the House and the Senate. They still in the UK have the Commons and the House of Lords. And so both those houses are banding together in the UK to stop the Yeti speaking, addressing Parliament. This is a really big deal. So let me have a quick look. Well, they should just rescind the invitation. I don't know why Starmer's even bothering talking to this guy. But anyway, apparently the state invitation still stands. It was drafted when he won the election as opposed to before the trade wars. Okay. What's going to happen in the UK around this issue? Oh, look at this. Oh my God. Oh my God. Sometimes you've just got to throw your hands in the air and go, business and strategies across the water. This is the trade deals. So I think Starmer, who represents Labor, even though he's a closet conservative, and I've been moaning about him 3 years before he got in, dreadful man in his own right. However, he does represent Labor, meaning I think his own party isn't happy, never mind the full parliament. Oh, whoops. 10 of Swords doesn't look promising for this trip. Oh, wow. The Tower. Sudden endings. I think it could be that the trip is called off. And the Death card. With the Yeti underneath the hooves of the Grim Reaper. Just saying. I'm not saying neutral. We always say this into, oh God, my hair's a mess at that. Oh, no. Okay. But death to the project. Oh, oh, oh. That's something to hope for. Now, I promised you another installment in the shame file. And a viewer sent me this comment. She's from West Virginia, where the governor, Patrick Morrissey, literally thanked Trump for denying them federal funding. Okay, that might not be surprising to you in the US. To me, it's beyond comprehension. So in other words, when the Yeti says, no, FEMA, deal with your own stuff. No, we're cutting funding to schools. Here's the governor going, thank you. Can I lick your sandals now? La, 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 la. It's perverted. It's absolutely perverted. Okay, so we're going to have an update here on the Supreme Court, because we all know Pam Bondi from Baywatch is fully in this. She is now the legal. Why is it when the Dems get in, They pick someone like Merrick Garland. You don't hear a squeak out of the mouse for 4 years in those turgid times after the insurrection, nothing. The GOP gets in and they change the world and they change everything. Why is that? You know, so aggravating. So I was going to look at the Supreme Court, but I'm going to look at the Department of Justice as an organisation because it must be horrifying to work in there because even if you know you've been bought and you've bent the knee and you've bent the other knee and you've bent your thumbs backwards and you've done everything you can, you're still being asked to do things that you know in your bones are illegal, but also because all the good ones have left, these lawyers are out of their depth. So it's only held up by the authoritarian aspirations of Pam Bondi. So let's have a look. 3 cards from the normal deck. 3 cards from the predictions deck. DOJ. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm not sure here. These could be read in 2 directions. So what we've got is this 2 of Swords. They're more than at a crossroads. They've gone down the right-hand path. So it's not so much the crossroads, it's so much as Duchess's justice is meant to be blind. But that's becoming a burden to this DOJ. And this is the card that worries me. This is normally the card of truth and justice and the American way, as Superman used to say, up through piercing the crown. But now it's like in her hands, what does it mean? Ooh, you see where I'm going? Okay, sorry, let me bring you down while I pull these cards from the predictions deck. Oh, it could be accidentally better long term. Given that tarot doesn't do timing, this might be a long way away, but we'll see. Foreign occupation, volcanoes and mountains. Before I get to the last card. Now, I think American troops are now active in Yemen under directive of the Commander-in-Chief. This is a watershed for the armed services. David Packman was talking about this last night. Which way the military will go will determine the future of America. Will they follow their Commander-in-Chief or will they protect the Constitution? I'm talking about the DOJ. This is really big. Volcano and mountains, I think it is volcanic. What is happening in the DOJ is volcanic. But here's a weird card, the greater good. It almost looks like a cross between Pam Bondi at the age of 6 and Jean-Benet Ramsey or something. It's quite disturbing. Will the greater good prevail, or is this what she's telling herself? You tell me what you think. Look at that. Okay. And so we don't leave on these ghastly people. Let's pull some cards for you guys. Okay. Let's pull some cards for you guys. All right. Now, so this is just for the next few days, the next week. You know, it's not immense. let's go forward. Because I think it's really important with the price gouging, and the tariffs haven't even arrived. They haven't even arrived yet. I mean, so people need to be really careful. So let's have a look here. Yes, well, moving to a safer place would be a good idea. And the Empress. Look, I think these are actually really positive. Okay. And let me tell you why. I think what all these trade wars and tariffs and horrors are about, they're making us rethink our roles outside of just being consumers. Okay? So this is holding on to your money and being very sensible. The Page of Pentacles is very sensible with money, and I'll return to her in a moment. We got this again. Keep hold of the clarity and the rational and trust that this will eventually pass, even if it's hardcore now. Don't let them rob you of your energy and your clarity. Swords are also about communication. Communicate with others, including this community. The Empress brings massive and expanding benefits. Now look at these as bookends. This is on a very modest individual level, and this is much more bountiful. Okay, they're different energies. So in other words, if you band together, join together, if you've got a rooftop that you can have a rooftop garden, grow a bit of food, or form cooperatives for buying things, etc. Working together, buying local, not through the supermarket, corporate giants, all that stuff, watching your money. The benefits are actually massive beyond the financial. You might accidentally find, because in my experience, you need to meet 100 people to find one or two that you actually bond with. Now, if you're in a MAGA state, that you might have to raise those numbers, but there are blue dots in every red state, and in inner city environments, high density living, we think the best neighbor is someone you never see, you never hear. Got a good neighbor. But that has to change. We have to stop thinking and worrying. So don't hoard through fear. Just start rethinking. So just as COVID, everyone rushed out and got a bread maker or something, how many people are still making their own bread? Not many. The point is, it's like that in the sense of having to rethink from the ground up. Pentacles are earth, from the ground up. Where does your food come from? And you can join another group online. You don't even have to see people if you're a dedicated hermit. Maybe just once a week to go and pick up your bulk supplies or something like that. But be creative, think lateral, and the benefits are quite magnificent. I'd go as far as to say that. You'll actually feel richer on the other side of what feels like poverty now. I hope so. So let me know, guys, what you're up to. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.